Does the church, the modern church, our Western civilization church, whatever you want to call it, give love a bad name? My first video, I talked about the uh, fake Christians, the people who are supposed to, who claim to be following God, submitting their lives to God. I don't think they have the guts to actually say that out in public. They just simply show up to church. They simply judge others when it's convenient, when it fits their purpose, and then are crazy nasty at the ice cream store. Like, really? You just came from church and you're complaining about that? No. Yeah, I tend to think the way a lot of what we see as God's church, that's not his church. That's just evil dressed up. In the book Flowers from a Puritan's Garden, it reads, although we cannot love their weaknesses, yet we must love the weak and bear with their infirmities, not breaking the bruised reed. Infants must not be turned out of the family because they cry and are unquiet and troublesome. Although they are crabby and irritable, we must bear it with gentleness and patience, as we do the irritability of the sick. If they revile, we must not revile again, but must seek gently to restore them. Despite all these disparagements, this patience is far too rare. We do not make enough allowances for our fellows, but sweepingly condemn those whom we should encourage with our sympathy. If we are irritable ourselves, we blame the weather, a headache, our natural temperament, or annoying circumstances. We are never at a loss for an excuse for ourselves. So why should not the same cleverness be used by our kindness in inventing excuses and reasons for others? It is a pity to carry on the trade of apology making entirely for home consumption. Let us also supply others. It is true that when they are very annoying, but we suffered half as much as some of our irritable friends have to endure, we would be even more aggravating. Think in many cases of their ignorance, their unfortunate bringing up, their poverty, their depression of spirit, their home surroundings, and compassion will come to the help of patience. We are sympathetic to a person who has a sore toe and cannot extend the feeling to those who have an irritable soul. Our Lord would be angry with us if we are harsh to his little ones, whom he loves. Nor will he be pleased if we are unkind to his poor afflicted children, with whom he wants us to be doubly tender. We ourselves need from him 10 times more consideration than we show to our brethren. For his sake, we should be vastly more patient than we are. Think how patient he has been to us, and let our hard-heartedness be confessed as no little sin. When it comes to the church showing love, I think there's kind of like two different aspects of this. At least that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this. The idea of our public love and inside the home, our eternal love, those we would have from our own family. As that chapter talks about, infants, we're going to put up with them. But we can't extend that same patience to people who are irritating. We see it very heavily in social media from those that are outside the family, but I think the practice of that needs to start on the inside of the family. If we can't do it at home, how are we going to do it out in public? And if we can't do it by ourselves, which is clear we can't, we need God's help involved with this. So Bonhoeffer, in his book, The Cost of Discipleship, he's talking about Matthew 5, where it says, you have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him also the other. And if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go with them 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you. Do not refuse the one who would borrow from you. Bonhoeffer writes, Jesus classes this saying about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth with the commandments, which he has already quoted from the Old Testament, for instance, the sixth commandment against murder. He recognizes his saying, like the sixth commandment, as the veritable law of God. This law, like the others, is not to be abrogated, but fulfilled to the last iota. Jesus will not countenance the modern practice of putting the Decalogue on a higher level than the rest of the Old Testament law. For him, the law of the Old Testament is a unity, and it insists to his disciples that it must be fulfilled. The followers of Jesus, for his sake, renounce every personal right. He calls them blessed because they are meek. If after giving up everything else for his sake, they still wanted to cling to their own rights, they would have ceased to follow him. This passage, therefore, is simply an elaboration of the Beatitudes. In the Old Testament, personal rights are protected by a divinely established system of retribution. Every evil must be requited. The aim of retribution is to establish a proper community, to convict and overcome evil, and eradicate it from the body politic of the people of God. That is the purpose of the law, which is maintained by retribution. Jesus takes up this declaration by the divine will and affirms the power of retribution to convict and overcome evil and to ensure the fellowship of the disciples as the true Israel. By exercising the right kind of retribution, evil is to overcome, and thus the true disciple will prove himself. The right way to requite evil, according to Jesus, is not to resist it. In that, we, as Christians, you're imitating God, right? So C.S. Lewis talks about it in his book, Four Loves. Our imitation of God in this life must be an imitation of God incarnate. Our model is the Jesus, not only of Calvary, but of the workshop, the roads, the crowds, the clamorous demands, and surely oppositions, the lack of all peace and privacy, the interruptions. For this, so strangely, unlike anything we can attribute to the divine life in itself, is apparently not only like, but is the divine life operating under human conditions. If you're a Christian at all, you know the answer to this. Well, how do I act like that? You need Christ in your life. You need to submit your will to Christ. You need to take up your cross daily. You lay down your desires and your thoughts, and you live as Christ would live. The only way you can do that is if you're close to him. Getting close to him is what the Bible talks about with the fruit of the Spirit. Jesus in Matthew talks about making the tree good, making the tree bad, comes with a good nourishment, right? We can understand that aspect. Us as a tree, good nourishment would be God's truths, his moral, his law, his wisdom. When you get that embedded into your heart, you become that. Matthew 12 reads, either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad. For the tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you are evil? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil. I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give an account for every careless word they speak. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Recorded in Luke slightly differently. For no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For figs are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor are grapes picked from a bramble bush. The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of the evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I tell you to do? I think it's kind of funny that Jesus talks about out of a good person and out of a bad person, because when he was called good teacher, Jesus said, why do you call me good? For nobody is good, which is true. We all have our faults. We all have our weaknesses. We're not perfect. Therefore, we're not good. We can act good at times. That doesn't make you a good person. Even evil people can act good for the moment. It doesn't make them a good person. So when Jesus talks about good people versus bad people, well, if nobody's good, how can we be good? That can only come when you fill your heart with good things. The only good thing is we know, even though Jesus said, "Why do you call me good?" He didn't deny he wasn't good. We fill our hearts, our lives, our minds with him, his word, his truth. Well, that acting of good becomes gradually more and more and more. So, but a lot of that is how we're dealing with people out in the world. Again, I think it starts right here at home in the house. And what is your heart filled with? Your spouse might have a pretty good idea of what your heart is filled with. Um, if minor inconveniences really upsets the other person or both of you, that's not love. That's a form of hate, isn't it not? If you're going to inconvenience me, we're talking something minor to major. It doesn't matter. If you're going to inconvenience me, I'm going to be mad over it. I'm showing you hatred, not showing you love. If you want something done, it's not. So you're angry with that person. Not only are you hateful, but I can pretty much guarantee you're a hypocrite. I'm sure there's been times in your life where you have been the one not doing something that the other had asked for. You want them to get mad at you for it? I don't think you do. I know they don't. I know you both don't. Like we talked about earlier about infants can be pretty frustrating, but you lovingly, patiently, you deal with it because you understand the truth. You understand what they're going through. What they don't understand is true to you. And we don't just throw them out because of it. We patiently wait, work, encourage, love. We guide them. We as Christians need to be loving our spouses, our kids. We need our core family, the full understanding of how to love each other so that that love can go to our neighbors and through our community, through our Facebook posts. If you're in the Bible Belt, you might want to practice this right at your own local restaurant. Check it out on Sundays. Check out the people who are complaining about the dish, complaining about the service. You see where they just came from, what church they just came from, because they probably came from one. I don't. They're not listening. Clearly, they're not listening. I think they show up in their Sunday best to show off to their community how everything's fine in their life. Oh yeah, things are great. Blah blah blah. Yeah, excuse me. I need to go hate on a waitress right now because I'm hungry and I should have my food by now. Come on. You get to see their fruit. You get to see what's in their heart. It's flying out of their mouth, and we're hearing it from across the room. Don't be that person. Be the opposite. Bless those who persecute you. Tell your waitress, this is great. You, it, see, it's not a lie, in my opinion, if the food you get is not the absolute best that it could be, and you still say it's great. Even if it's not that great, it is great in the fact that somebody cooked it for you. Somebody served it for you. When talking about food laws, Jesus was saying, don't worry about what's presented. What goes in your mouth doesn't defile you. You're off in a strange place. Somebody offers you strange food, and you think, I'm not touching that. You're not showing love. You're showing disrespect. You're going to hurt somebody's feelings. There's a good chance they're not going to listen to you because you've already shown you're better than them. You're different than them. You're not okay to be like them. No, go ahead and accept it. Eat it. It shouldn't be your own personal taste buds, your own personal texture opinion that determines what somebody did for you is good or not. When you go to a place where the social idea is they're serving you, You flip that around. You could be the one serving them. There's a good chance they're having a bad day. There's a good chance they're tired. There's a good chance that your love can completely set you out completely different from all the other customers. If you can't do it in your house, you can't do it in a restaurant. What you do at church is probably fake to begin with. If you're that kind of person, like Jesus says, why do you call me Lord if you don't do what I tell you to do? His command is to love, and not in a way that you twist it to say that, well, you just need to love and accept everybody. Again, acceptance isn't the same as love. Correction is a form of love. At the right opportunity and the right circumstances, like a child, when you raise a child, you have to discipline that child in order to love that child. If you don't, they're going to be a menace. They're going to be awful. Nobody's going to like them. You're going to be frustrated with them. But we'll save that tangent on disciplining your children for another video. For now, read your Bible, spend time with God, just in prayer, just in listening, learn to love, go out there and be the light. Be truthful, but be a light.